everyone, Tina here. I hope your day's going fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me for another 5 Easy Step card. Today we are making a sunshiny card with bright colors, and we're using a flower die set from Waffle Flower Crafts. This is the dotted flowers. And then I'm also going to bring in some pattern paper today. We are creating with the Simple Stories 6x8 paper pad called Tea Garden. So let's jump in and get started. Today's card's going to come together pretty quickly because we are just using pattern paper. So let's start off with step number 1 and create our focal image, which will be a trio of flowers. We're going to do some die cutting. And I love the colors of Waffle Flowers packaging, and so I was kind of inspired by that. We're bringing in some teal colored cardstock. There's 3 different sizes of flowers, and we're going to cut out the middle size with the teal. With yellow, we're going to use the larger flower. And then with the smaller flower, or the smallest flower, we're going to use pink. All of these are Spellbinders cardstock. This one is Waterfall. This one is Beeswax. This one is Tutu. And this one is Peridot. We're going to cut out a few sets of green leaves. I don't think I'm going to use a small die, so we'll do some sets of the larger and the mid-size leaf. So I'll die cut these out, and I'll be right back. Now this does have dotted detail on here, so what I'm going to do is fill in the dotted detail with some white cardstock. So I'm going to use, just to make it quick, I'm going to use some of my punches. This is a 1-inch punch. I actually used this one to create some swatches for my inks. And then this one is a 3/4 inch punch. We're going to cut out 2 of these. And all we're going to do is add a little glue behind here. And then we're just going to put white. While we're at it, I'm going to add a foam square. And our flowers have a little bit of a white detail to them. Okay, now as far as the leaves go, I'm going to use the leftover piece here, and then just using my scissors, let's trim down some thin strips. We're just going to tack the strips down. I'm actually just going to trim the bottoms off like this because you're not going to see the bottom portion of the leaves anyway. We're going to make this really easy. I'll do the rest of my leaves this way. Okay, and we're going to put some foam squares behind our leaves as well. The smaller ones, I'm actually going to use some smaller foam squares. Okay, and that's all there is to that. I just stuck them down to some release paper after I removed the release paper, so it's easier. Now we're going to move along to step number 2 and create our home panel. For my home panel, we're going to bring in our pattern paper. This is the Tea Garden paper pad. And for my home panel, I'm looking at the polka dots, because you know I love polka dots. I'm going to trim down a panel. I trimmed down a panel that measures 4 1/4 inches wide by 3 inches tall. And what we're going to do is add a piece of vellum right over the top. And this vellum measures 4 inches by 2 3/4. So it's basically a 1/4 inch smaller than this one. Okay, I am going to round the corners on the right side of them, just using my corner rounder. Okay, we'll do the top side. And then I'm going to add some glue on the left side here at the very top of my vellum. And we're just going to layer these together. What this does is it just softens the background. Okay, and then I have a strip. This is a 3/4 inch wide strip by 3 inches tall of white cardstock, and I'm just going to add some adhesive here, and we're going to layer this right on the end here. Once this is layered, I'm going to add some stitch detail. This is where my winter borders die set will come in. And I'm going to be using the double stitched border here. And what I'm going to do is line it up all the way to the edge of the white cardstock. I'll run it through my die cut machine, and then I'm going to do the other side also. So now we have some detail on here. Okay, after this is done, now I am going to bring in some black and white baker's twine. And I'm going to wrap it around the middle here just once, and then I'll tie a bow towards the top. Okay, we will add some stripes there, and then that will be my home panel. I'm going to put this with my flowers, and then we're going to move along to step number 3 and create our greeting. For my greeting today, we're bringing in a stamp and die combo. This is the Waffle Flower Crafts Sweet Birthday Sentiments stamp set. Today I'm just going to stamp birthday wishes. I'm going to use my black ink, and we're just going to stamp on some white cardstock, birthday wishes. We'll take the coordinating die, and I will just cut this out, and I will be right back. And that is all there is to my greeting. Okay, now let's add our flowers and create a little bouquet. And I'm going to add a little trio of flowers here. So now we have our home panel, our focal image, and our greeting. Let's move along to step number 4 and create our background. Background's going to be very easy. I'm just going to bring in a sheet of the pattern paper, and we're going to trim this down to a A2 panel. I'm going to use the top section, so we'll trim it at 4 1/4, and then we'll turn it and trim it at 5 1/2. And we're going to add some glue behind here, and we'll just tack this down. We're going to make a landscape style card. That's all there is to my background. Wonderful. Okay, let's take our home panel, and we're going to layer it right in the center here. And I'm going to use my tape runner. The great thing about the Spellbinders tape runner is it can go over the twine. Okay, and especially if you're not going to pop it up with any foam tape. Okay, I'm going to add this, and then I'm going to round the corners. Since we rounded the corners on our home panel, I'm going to round the corners on my card base too. Okay, we're almost done. We're going to move along to step number 5, and we're going to add some bells and whistles, or we're going to embellish. And I went through my buttons, and I found 3 buttons that coordinated with my flowers. The buttons that I'm using are from Papertrey ink, and I'll leave Papertrey ink's button page down below in the description area. They have some fabulous buttons in almost any color you can imagine, if you guys are still into buttons. I know buttons are kind of old school, but I do love buttons on cards. It just gives it a homey vibe. And I'm going to just put the coordinating color inside the coordinating flower. Okay, now I thought about threading my buttons, but decided not to. I didn't want the extra bulk. But I am going to bring in my fine tip Sharpie instead. And what I'm going to do is do an X over the button. And I'm hoping, since this is a Sharpie, it's going to be permanent. But I just want to dress my buttons, but I do not want to add any extra bulk. So I think a Sharpie will look like my buttons are threaded, but they're not really threaded. So it's kind of really subtle but it goes with the black and white baker's twine. So it kind of looks like they're threaded. And it didn't take any time at all. Usually threading takes me a little bit of time, but that's my card project today. A super fun, bright and cheery card. Great for birthdays. You can switch out the greeting and make it a thank you card if you wanted to. But I thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for sticking with me to the end. I have 2 more videos that you guys might be interested here. If you guys are new and like the content that you see, click that subscribe button and also the notification bell. That way for future videos, be notified. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It sure does help the channel. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.